I've been in LA for 9 years now, acting and tutoring math, and that's my life story so far.
Well, that's a big share for a first date.
That was the short version.
I really, really like The Perfect First Date. I think dating and first dates are a great premise for a comedy. And it's territory that I've gone into before, so you're already winning in my book with that. And then because there's just so much that can go wrong, and you really highlight the things that go wrong in this piece. I love how awkward it gets. I love the fact that he's filming and now he has to convince his date to stay. That's so weird. And it presents like the perfect conflict to fuel the rest of the piece. The pacing's really great. It's very sharp. It's very witty. The characters are fun and made this piece really enjoyable to watch. And despite being very weird and awkward, still very believable. It just came together to be a really fun comedic piece. So very well done.
First off, The Perfect First Date is really funny. Its combination of over-the-top performance and awkwardness really works. It's the kind of thing that walks a very thin tightrope but does it really well. It's also very clever in its use of metatextuality. So the fact that the short film that we're watching is actually, one of the characters recording this date is really clever. And when the other guy keeps looking at the camera to express his awkwardness, the whole situation, when he's kind of having his private moments, and it turns out that actually he's being filmed, and he's aware, and he becomes aware he's being really filmed. It's it's very funny. It adds a lot of complexity to the language of the film, and it's a very clever comment on film itself. Especially when you have the waitress character who turns out to just be this guy's friend, and she was the only person who'd be willing to do this. That's a comment on budget filmmaking. That's how it works, which is really funny. But also, despite that, it's also very heartfelt. The comedy is underscored by a real sense of vulnerability and sadness that makes us really empathise with the characters and care about them. And when they have their moment of genuine connection, when they're talking about the advice that you get from the therapist, it's being the same thing, you really feel that, and you end up being like, yeah, I want these people to end up together. So it manages to be funny, clever, and heartfelt, which is all great.
The absolute, The Perfect First Date was absolutely perfect. I really liked the avant-garde-esque elements of it, in the sense that in a intentional, unintentional way, it breaks the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall. The reason I bring up avant-garde is because this film reminds you that it's a movie when, within the first few minutes, one of the characters just looks directly at the camera and goes, "Why is there a camera there?" And then that kind of rips you out of it, as they've essentially looked at you, and the entire date ends up deconstructing into what's quite literally a film set, as the date has been orchestrated. And I love it because it creates this anxiety as you slowly realize that everything about this date has been staged. And then it becomes a question of who's in on it. It feels like a hostage situation at that point. And yeah, I absolutely found that to be very creative, and I loved that aspect of the film. And I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching it.
Hey, I'm commenting on the short film, The Perfect First Date. I thought that this was a really, really fun concept that was executed really well. I've got to first start out here by calling out the performances. This was really, really well acted by everybody involved. I thought you just got some phenomenal performances from all the actors involved. The writing was really tight and really fun. I thought, like I said, the concept was great. I really enjoyed this date from hell that, finally it ultimately took a little positive turn at the end. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. I thought this was really, really terrifically put together, and I think you did a really great job writing it, and a really, really fantastic job with the cast and the direction and everything. Very, very nice work on this. I really, really enjoyed it.
The Perfect First Date. So this film starts out cute and then it gets pretty awkward, and the main character has to fess up, say he's filming the whole thing, and talk his date into staying on and having his date with him. So it just picks up from there. It actually gets funnier in a whole new level. So I find both characters relatable, and they just both want the best out of finding love. When Tommy starts yelling, cut, and yelling direction to the silent crew that's, become now a whole restaurant of staff, that's when it really does get quite funny. And when they cut to the technical difficulty screen, that's a real hoot. So it was enjoyable, and it was a great ending. Thank you.
Well, this is definitely a fun satire on the kind of online dating age here. I would just say to the one fella that wasn't in on it at first to run, but anyways, yeah, it was fun to see it resolve the way it did. How it felt like there was still going to be a chance, even though the whole thing was crazy. What would be the point if they weren't going to be working it out somehow? So anyway, yeah, the three actors actually that were involved, they were all very funny. Everybody did a great job. It was a nice script, a fun idea. It was very well directed and well paced. And yeah, like I said, it was just kind of a fun commentary on the modern age and dating. So, but yeah, good luck with this. I hope it does well for you.
All right, I just finished watching The Perfect First Date, which I thought was very funny and a very interesting approach to sort of a very classic conceit of the first date. It's a very meta and self-aware dynamic with having the date being recorded and the lead characters being aware of it later on in the piece. And I thought that so much of the humor was really crafted from a self-aware dynamic of that reflects culture writ large, of always wanting to record, always wanting to be on camera, sort of always sort of having a navel-gazing approach. And I thought that a lot of the humor from the piece really navigated that theme very well. I thought there was a great sense of chemistry between the two leads. They really felt natural, and I thought the humor was really strong, not just in sort of delivering of lines, but a very natural expression of anxiety, of awkwardness that really made the lead characters endearing and three-dimensional. I thought that they really carried the conceit very well, given that it's such a small concept, as having to play out in a very tight area and having to sort of mine it almost entirely from their charisma and their ability to fill the characters out in a way that allows the narrative to carry them. So I thought it was a really well done piece, well acted, and had a great sense of humor that worked both in terms of physical comedy and expression and in terms of line delivery. So I enjoyed it and thought it was well done.